Okay. Uh, Good evening and welcome to the December 18th, 2025 meeting of the City of Norwalk Zoning Board of Appeals. For the record, we are currently meeting virtually on the Zoom platform rather than in person. I don't think we've met in person
For
in
years
years.
since COVID.
Yes. Let's take a moment to review how the meeting will be conducted this evening. For the first 2 hours, we shall hold a public hearing for each application on tonight's agenda. Applicants and other participants have received notice, and other notices of hearing were printed in the Norwalk Hour and posted at the subject property. After roll call, each application will be announced by the chair and then read into the record by the secretary. The applicant or representative will state his or her name for the record and then present the appeal or code relief sought. Please present those zoning issues relevant to the practical difficulty or the hardship that gave rise to this application. After you or your representative have spoken, those participants in favor will have the chance to be heard. Following that, those public participants against the application will have the opportunity to state their opposition. In the case of an appeal at this time, the zoning staff will have the opportunity to present their findings. After those against the application have spoken, the applicant and only the applicant will have the opportunity to rebut and respond to any issues that may have been raised. The chair will either close the hearing or, if appropriate, grant a continuance. Then the next application will be called. The new applications will not normally be heard after 9 p.m. as the board must discuss and act upon those applications. No further public participation or input is accepted at that time. However, participants and the public are welcome to stay for this portion of tonight's meeting. Should you decide to leave, you may contact the zoning office tomorrow to learn about our decision or access the meeting video, which will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel. Finally, before we proceed, I must remind you that this meeting, including each hearing, is video recorded and will become a matter of permanent public record. All participants and all public commenters must state their names and addresses. Comments must be on topic. Please note that anyone using threatening, hateful, or sexually explicit language will be cut off and removed from the meeting and will not be allowed to return. At this point, I would like to take a roll call of the board members that will be participating in the hearing tonight. My name is Lee Levy, and I am acting chairman this evening. We have Andy Conroy, Anthony Samari, Steve Ferguson, and did I get anybody?
You got Keith Lyon and Ben Hampeter.
And oh, I didn't see Ben there. Keith
Ready?
and Ben. Okay. As I was not present for last month's meeting, I am going to step back on the first item and let Ben participate. So,
I was
Secretary,
also not here last month, but I got it.
oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's fine. We'll switch off the next item.
Why don't you
Mr.
do
Secretary,
Steve, and then you can do Ben and later. How's that?
that's fine. Mr. Secretary,
Yep.
would you please read the first item on the agenda
The
tonight?
first item on the agenda is 25-1120-01. Danielle Hogan, continued from November 20th, 2025. Variance for accessory structure front setback and side setback for proposed in-ground pool at an existing single-family residence. Property located at 222 West Rocks Road. And
And
Before the staff memo is read, can I just make a point of order
Yeah.
that if Ben, we need Ben if we want 5 to participate, and Ben has acknowledged that he has reviewed the previous material, so he can participate.
yeah, but
Okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna have 5.
once you're set with 5, unless you has a real problem with it, I'd stick with it.
But we need Ben to have 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Ben can wait. Steve's on, and we proceed.
Yes,
okay, staff
think-
memo. All right,
go ahead.
Yeah,
very good. So it is the variance of table 4. Well, I've already read. No, let me read the whole thing. Danielle Hogan, 25.1120-01, variance of table 4.3.1A for accessory structure front setback. 60 feet required, 45.4 feet proposed, and side setback 30 feet required, 16.6 inches, 16 feet 6 inches proposed for proposed in-ground pool at an existing single-family residence in CD-1L zone. Property located at 222 West Rocks Road, District 5, Block 23, Lot 232. Revised. The pool location is now proposed at 70.5 feet from the front property line, which eliminates the front setback request. The side setback variance request has been reduced. The new location will be 21 feet from the side property line versus the original 16.6 feet, 30 feet side setback required. Tammy, or Mr. Chairman, do I read from the past or solely the revised?
I think only the revised will be necessary.
Revised analysis and findings. Staff met with the applicant per the board's instructions. The proposed plan eliminates the front setback request and reduces the side yard variance request. The retaining walls that were constructed do not meet the required setback of 10 feet from all property lines. Zoning regulations section 4.3.16.m prescribes additional standards for series of retaining walls. The survey does not provide the height of the walls. As such, staff cannot determine if there are more compliance issues in addition to the setback. The applicant wishes to move forward with the pool variance request and address the retaining walls at a later date.
Okay, will the representative for this application please step forward, identify yourself?
Hello, I'm Danielle Hogan. Am I frozen? Sorry. I can share my screen if you want to walk through the presentation. I think a handful of you are familiar from last month, but I'll go ahead and share. All right. So I'm going to skip over the original proposal because we have revised it. But the original hardship justification was because the house is situated on a steep slope from the wooded rear yard to the flatter front yard. The rear yard is very wooded and it lacks access to utility connections and electricity. Directly in back of the house includes our French drain system with slope and ledge rock in that slope. Tree removal happened previously due to a large tree that was in danger of falling from the house. And the drainage system and the slope management are critical to the safety of the home for flood protection and excavation issues. We do not want to push back behind the home. There are severe rear access limitations, so there's no back entry to from our home. The only entry is to the side yard through a sliding glass door and a deck. Also, in addition to having no rear entry from the back of the house to the area that was originally suggested, there is not enough visibility to where the pool would have to be for safety reasons, and also not unobstructed access if there was any kind of emergencies within the pool itself. Here you can see an image of the back of the house where that rock is where the French drain system is buried. Moving on, here is where the excavation was started on the side. There was ledge rock that was hit right there, which would be very difficult to continue. I met with Tammy and she was wonderful, and we worked together to try and eliminate as much of the variance that would be needed, and explore some alternate options that would minimize impact. So our alternate here is within the compliance of the front yard, which would be now 70.5 feet. We originally pushed it, I believe, only about 16 feet from the side. We were able to push it as far back as possible to that 21 foot from the side yard, while still avoiding having to remove or move the French drain. And we'd be able to maintain access from the sliding glass doors in case of emergency. And we preserve some sight lines from the kitchen living room area to the pool for accessibility there and safety. Here is, we had that remapped on the survey. You can see it here. Again, the retaining walls need to be addressed. I absolutely agree with that and will 100% address that. We're just one step at a time here. So that's my presentation.
Do we have any questions from the board on this item? Do we have any comment from members of the public?
Okay, so we've got a couple of attendees. We've got actually someone on a phone, I think. And if you'd like to comment, you could use if you've called in, use *9 to raise your hand, or if you're on Zoom, then you just use the raise your hand feature. I mean, if you're on your computer. Okay, no raise hands.
Okay. Since there have been no comments, there's no need for any rebuttal or further comment from the applicant. And I guess we move on to the next item on our agenda. Mr. Secretary.
Keith, you're up.
Yep, I know. The next item on the agenda is 25-1120-03. Eva Zhang, I hope that's the right pronunciation. Variance of table 4.3.1-C for front setback, 30 feet required, 11.6 feet existing at current facade, and 12 feet proposed for addition. Driveway width, parenthesis, 10 feet maximum within 10 feet of frontage line, 13 feet existing, 25 feet proposed. and to allow parking within the front setback for proposed 2.5-story side addition with integral garage at an existing single-family residence in the CD-1S zone. Property located at 8 Belmont Place, District 6, Block 31, Lot 23. The revision. The proposed addition has been moved 4.9 feet further away from the front property line than the original request. Originally proposed at 12 feet, now proposed at 16.9 feet. 30 feet is required front setback. Revised analysis and findings. The survey diagram has been corrected to depict the 30-foot front setback line. Staff met with the applicant per the board's instructions and advised to move the proposed addition as far away from the front property line as possible. This modest concession was the result. And that's the analysis and findings as revised.
Very good, Mr. Secretary. On this item, Steve will participate in the decision. Will the applicant come forward and identify themselves?
Hi, this is Eva.
Do you have any comments on this?
Can I share my screen for the presentation, please?
Please do.
Okay. All right. So, as the memo has stated, we are requesting variance for the minimum front setback. The requirement is 30 feet. Our house currently sits legally non-conforming at 11.6 feet, and we would like to add an attached garage with bedroom above that aligns with the existing house's historic front setback. And then additionally, because of the garage location, we are applying for variance for the driveway width as well. All other setback requirements met. What's changed since last month is that we met with the zoning enforcement officer, Tammy, as directed. Thank you to Tammy. And then revised the design to move move the addition 4.9 feet farther back. So it went from 12 feet to 16.9 feet. It used to be aligned with the front of the current house. Now it sits 4.9 feet back from the front of the house. All of their zoning requirements remain compliant. So this is the survey, just to show an image of the property. The last proposed lined up here with the front of the house. Now it sits back here with a 4.9 feet pushback. So the front constraint of the house is that the existing house stands legally non-conforming, and the train station actually owns our front yard. So our house doesn't appear to encroach on the street as is, or it also would not encroach with a garage addition that keeps a similar front setback. Just for a visual, this is all front yard, and this is where the pavement is, and this piece of land is owned by the train station, as we sit across from the Roy Inn train station. And then the rear constraint would be that the rear grade and elevation relative to the second floor would require extensive retaining walls and structural work. And a photo of this, just showing that this is looking out of the left side is looking out of the back of our house, and the yard, if you look out, this is basically like waist high, and then this is up here is the second floor. So pushing it farther back would make it go up the slope quite a bit. And then the interior constraint is that any conforming placement will require the removal of existing first floor laundry and bath, eliminating essential living space and requiring full reconstruction elsewhere. And this is the image of the inside flat plan, the first floor over here, the garage. This is currently as proposed and revised. And if we were to move it back to the 30 feet, the garage would have to basically end up eating up the laundry room and part of the bathroom. So lastly, as mentioned last time as well, the whole reason we're asking for this variance is because our property front lawn is, as perceived, is not our front lawn. And even putting up the sign on the lawn, we put it in the area where the train station actually owns, like by the state DOT. So what the variance is applying for is that building a garage will not encroach on the street. And thank you.
Very good. Do we have any questions from the board on this application?
The only question that I have, and this is Andy speaking, is I know that you wanted to widen the driveway. And DOT has the rights to much of your driveway. Did you
Yeah.
contact them?
We're not really widening a section owned by the DOT. The variance is because the section, like there's a requirement on the section, I think within 10 feet or how many feet of the front property line cannot be too wide. So like here we
Yeah, I
were
see it.
our plan is to like not have this curve if the DOT doesn't approve, but to get out of the garage, we would at least need space here.
Yeah, I understood what you presented last time.
Yeah.
I see good rationale for a variance that allows sort of a redesign of the driveway, including the wider part as you get to the garage. Where I was having a problem then and have a problem now is, when we give a variance, there has to be a rationale that says you're between a rock and a hard place. And the way I see it is that you could increase the distance from your front line a bit more before you start to create a problem at the rear of your problem. And if the rear of the property, if we forced you to go 30 feet, we would create a problem back there. And the problem could expand all the way to your neighbors on each side. So I think a 30-foot pushback is not helpful. But I don't see a problem asking you to go to 20 feet. And that's what, 3.9 feet more than you're doing at the moment? Something like that. The reason that works is the ZBA should make sure that if you're capable of doing that, that we require you to do it. Go ahead.
The garage, as it's pushed back right now, is 22.9 feet, and that's distance on the outside. The garage, I looked up for a garage, should be 20 feet at least to fit cars on the inside. And that would be the inside.
So what you did was you decreased the size of the garage to increase your setback?
Yes.
All right. I don't know that that's the way to go with this, but it's your choice. I'm going to insist on the 20 feet setback, and here's why. We don't know what DOT intends to do in the future with the land out in front of your house. One of the reasonable things they could do is increase the size of the parking lot, which is directly across the street from you. It's not like up the street a ways, it's directly across the street. And thereby chewing up a lot of that space out in front. So I think a 20-foot setback would be very advisable.
So let's just follow through on the math and approximate location of that. We were saying at 20 feet would be another, what was it, 6? Let me just look.
20 feet would be another 3.1.
3.1, okay. 3.1. And as an example, going back, I know you were concerned about going back to the previous screen,
Yes.
concerned about the floor plan, yeah. Concerned about losing some of the bathroom and that other space. Could you potentially incorporate uh, the bathroom into the garage, so to speak, so that you're able to push back the extra 3 feet or so.
The like the problem would be a car is parked here, then that it can't park into where the bathroom would sit,
There
right?
wouldn't be enough room. I'm getting over my skis here, Lee. Not an architect.
Yeah, I'm watching this and uh, I'm a little disadvantaged, but uh, I see what Andy is saying, and Keith, I follow along. Uh, my opinion, I'd try to push the garage back as much as physically possible, given that we don't know what's going on with DOT property. And I think there possibly might be a way of pushing it, further to the south. I think that needs to be worked out in plan. Uh, a stupid comment from me is also that the door from the garage into the house should swing in rather than into the garage. But that's a minor detail.
Mm.
But I think it could be somehow incorporated.
Well, I think a 20-foot setback instead of the 30 required is a large variance. And I think that's appropriate because we're kind of, she is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And in essence, so are we. But I know that we just don't freely grant variances because somebody would like us to. And in this case, I think trying to go past 20 feet in a front setback would create a real problem in the back of the house. And the excavation back there would start to be a problem and could expand to problems both sides of the property.
Will that take care of the proposed, I guess the proposed widening of the land outside of the applicant's property? I mean, you really can't touch that, and we can't grant anything
Yeah,
on that.
we can't authorize it, but she can contact DOT and ask. But I don't think she needs it. If she's back 20 feet, I think she's got enough room to maneuver in front of the garage.
Yes, and I'm
Okay.
happy to do it in 2 stages, like garage first, don't touch that part of the driveway until the DOT allows.
You-
And I don't have a problem accepting a variance to take the paving right across the front of the garage. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know about anybody else. Anybody wants to chime in on that?
Uh,
I don't think I have a problem either, but let's just be sure I'm clear.
do you have an elevation of the front of the house?
Like exact numbers.
No, not
Lee, I
an
don't,
elevation of what it looks like.
yeah, I
Oh,
know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Look at the photograph and as you're looking at right now, and now you know that if you went back, let's say another, 17 feet. Do you get the picture? I do.
Well, I kind of get it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, at some point, a drawing of the front elevation has to be
Yes.
submitted for a building permit. And I'm wondering why it's not part of this application.
Because not a lot of experience in doing this. That's why.
I thought the applicant had it for the first time around, but it's changed since then.
Yeah. Well, somebody had asked a question, how, if you went back 30 feet, how deep would they have to cut into the ground in the back of the house to accommodate that? And I think somebody came up with a number. I don't know if it was Nat Tammy or not, but it was a significant amount, 8, 9, 10 feet, something like that.
Well, that I see as a topographical problem, as I particularly look at the stone wall, that supports the second floor, there's obviously, I would say, a relatively good hardship case for topography being an issue.
Yep.
And the fact that the other issue of the uh, adjacent DOT land.
Yep.
But, I mean, these are issues we always have to go through.
Yeah, the DOT thing bothers me because I know that the lot's too small. And I don't know what they have been thinking about. And the sixth district might have been talking to them, but they've tried to do all their expansions on the other side of the railway. But at some point, they can't do that anymore. And if they own all that land, I can see them moving the boundary of the parking area out and moving the street over also.
Eva, can you bring up the elevation plan that says existing front elevation and proposed front elevation? It's one of your slides.
While you actually do that, I just want to make a comment regarding the DOT. Though they own the property, they don't maintain all the property that they own, which is really interesting that they put the burden on the landowner. I have seen properties that are on the other side of the train station in South Norwalk and East Norwalk, and the owners of those properties are taking care of or maintaining properties that the DOT owns. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where they don't show up for like 10, 15, 20 years in some cases. So it's kind of like a waiting game. We don't know what their plans are, but we have to maintain the properties because they don't even trim the trees, the bushes sometimes. I'm not here to bash the DOT at all. I'm just saying when it comes to maintaining their properties, it's left on our homeowners to do so.
Yeah.
So we're talking about her front yard that they're most likely maintaining regularly, and the DOT doesn't even, would even drive by, care less, even take a snapshot of the picture.
Well, that's kind of true and kind of not true. Because, we deal with the train stations, and I've been the chair, or not the chairman, but the treasurer for the 6th district, and I dealt with DOT. And we were trying to figure out how to handle money to do repairs to the thing. And they referred me to the lease. When I looked at the lease, they don't really, want to give up any property rights. They may not do something, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they decide they want to do something. So I still have the issue. I don't think I want to make an assumption that DOT isn't going to touch anything. I think that's a bad assumption. And pushing back 20 feet
Andy,
versus 30 feet, I think solves it.
Andy, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about maintaining property. I'm not talking about making claim to it.
Yeah. Well, maintaining it, it's like, if the city has an easement into your front yard and has a city street running by, and you decide you want to do plantings, you're free to do that right into the easement. Not a problem.
But it's also sort of like it just snowed and we have no way to get out of our house if we don't plow the driveway that's owned on the land, like the DOT owned land. So it's not like, oh, I want to use the front yard. It's like I have to go through the part in order to even get to the street.
I don't think that'd be an issue. What would happen is a bunch of your front yard would go away. And they would move the street over and they would expand the parking lot out 15 feet or whatever. That would give them another row of parking. But anyway, that's just speculative.
So let me go.
I'm going to hang in for 20 as my minimum.
And I heard that very clearly, and Andy. So that's the 3.1 feet, and what were you saying that you wouldn't have an issue with them having walkway or expansion of driveway entrance within that 20-foot setback? Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, without the permission of DOT, they can't do squat the rest of the driveway. So they do own land, and that land will actually increase in length. And if they want to use more driveway to be able to maneuver cars around, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Well,
so I was agreeing with you. I'd be fine with that also.
Since I've been asked a question, and I really hadn't intended to participate, but I do have an interesting question. Does this house actually front on a city street? or does it front on DOT property?
The latter.
Okay. I find that particularly interesting, given that most houses are required to have frontage on a municipal street rather than a parking lot. Obviously, over the years, this configuration has changed. And as we're looking at it now, we're speculating on the future that the imaginary front yard that the applicant sees could easily become asphalt in a number of years.
Yeah, it could become asphalt and a sidewalk. I mean,
And
what they would build. But
you know, I'd really like to know, and I think it would be for the applicant's betterment if we all knew what the arrangement, the legal arrangement between the property owners is.
well, she has a deed, and she can examine her deed or have her attorney do so. But when she comes before us, the only thing we can deal with is her property.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm foreseeing a future problem.
Well, so am I, but I don't know when that'll happen.
Neither do I, and I don't think the applicant can give us an answer.
But
No, I don't think she can, unless she's the soothsayer. She can't possibly know what the DOT intends. But you can call them and ask them, but I don't know that helps either, because in the 6th district, we called and asked and then had them exactly change their mind 1 year later. So yeah, it doesn't, they don't necessarily do what you think they're going to do.
Well, I know that complicates things, and I think it complicates things for all parties involved in this application.
Yep.
And the applicant may very well come back to us in 5 years and say, I need another variance for this. And given the circumstances, it'll probably have to be granted. But as we talk about it, I see that a 20-foot setback more necessary than was previously proposed.
Yeah. But I do think 30 is egregious, and we should not force her to 30.
So I have a feeling Anthony's trying to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the applicant's property is non-conforming. It's just a given that she has a short front yard. That's, and the idea here is to just find the minimum variance that can make the project work.
That's how I settled on.
The way I see it as well.
Anthony, that's how I settled on 20.
Yeah.
I think 20 is I've been to the location, and yes, there's a lot of land to the street. But I think you kind of need the 20 just in case anything happens.
Yeah. If she weren't directly across from the train station, I would be less concerned, because you can make a road bend. But if you bring the parking lot over another 15, 20 feet, then, game over.
I think one of the points all of us are kind of missing, to a small extent, is at 20 feet, I think we could reasonably expect to be able to back a car out of the garage and turn it to exit the driveway.
Yep.
I think 16 feet might be very tight.
But anyway, if it's 20, I'll vote for it. If it's not, I won't.
Well, at this point, I'll call for any public comment from any of our Zoomers out there.
Yep. So attendees, if you'd like to speak for this application, raise your hand, or if you've called in, press *9 to raise your hand. There's no raised hands. So if you want to speak in opposition of this application, you can use the raise your hand feature or press *9. No raised hands.
Very good. I guess we'll move on to the next application.
Can I just quickly ask, will the vote happen at the end of the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So please,
Do you want to close the public hearing or do you want to potentially, the only way to do it is you'd have to do a condition if you chose to approve. Otherwise, she'd need to bring a new plan. But I mean, I think you can just do a condition
Yeah.
for the, are you okay with that, Eva?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
want to be clear, what is the difference between that and a continuation?
Yeah, so if a continuation, the public hearing stays open, she comes back, brings new plans and shows those, or you close the public hearing and then in your voting, if you can vote to approve with the condition that the
Okay.
proposed addition be 20 feet from the
Yes,
front property.
very good. Okay,
okay, very good.
I know that before we finish, that what I suggested is actually pretty tiny change. And I'm not happy about keeping it open. I'd like to bring it to an
Okay.
end. And I'd like to get everybody to give the variance, but at the 20-foot amount.
I think
Well-
it's an elegant approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll close the public hearing and reach
Next
a
item on the
decision.
agenda. Yep, it's 25-1120-02. Cherise Lichman, sorry. Variance of table 4.3.1-C for front setback. 30 feet required, 28.6 proposed. For proposed front addition to include an elevator at an existing single-family residence in the CD-1S zone. Property located at 68 Shorefront Park, District 2, Block 85, Lot 5. Request: applicant seeks location variance for a proposed elevator. Background: the existing home was built new in 2015 to VE standards on pilings with breakaway walls. It is 2.5 stories. The ground floor is excluded from story calculation under new and previous zoning regulations. Analysis and findings: staff does not see an obvious compliant alternative for an elevator based on the plans and site conditions. The encroachment proposed is minimal and the footprint amount that would be in the front setback is only about 21 square feet. The application does not require coastal site plan review by the board or the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Very good. I will be sitting in on this for the decision. Will the applicant please step forward and identify themselves?
Mr. Chair, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzi LLC, offices at 10 Sasko Hill Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant. Can you hear me okay?
No,
If actually you could raise your volume a little bit.
Or let's see.
or sit closer to the mic, either way.
Turn the mic up.
That'd be great.
Is that better?
Much.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you can see the plan on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right, thank you. So, Chair, Commissioners, good to be before you. Again, this property, it's 68 Shorefront Park. It's a single-family residential house in the CD1S zone. This is a property, as you can see from the site plan on the screen, that abuts Norwalk Harbor on its rear side to the east. You can see on the plan, Shorefront Park Road is on the western side. It's the harbor is a little over 55 feet from the rear of the existing dwelling. So there's really not much space there within the coastal zone. Particularly the 100 feet kind of buffer that Deep certainly favors having to the coastal zone. There's really, in the back, it's within that area. So we're proposing to place this addition on the front to get it out of that area. So I think that's, certainly something Deep would probably favor. And what you also might see right around the area where the pool is, there is a building restriction line that applies to the shorefront park properties that give a buffer to the harbor. So that's another kind of condition that limits how much building can go there in the back. Lots obviously located within the FEMA flood zone, which requires the living floors to be raised. As was indicated, this was a relatively new dwelling that was built to those standards. There's currently a front porch that is located in the southwest corner of the dwelling, and that's where the applicant is proposing this addition for the purpose, really, and sole purpose is installing an elevator to access the living floors. So and you'll see it on the elevation. Basically, what this application amounts to is filling in the notch. As was stated, the required front yard setback is 30 feet. We're requesting to go to 28.6 feet, so it's only 1.4 feet into the setback. And it's just enough to hold this elevator. I'll show you the floor plans so you can see it. But in order to fit that elevator, we unfortunately have to go slightly into the setback. As staff noted, it creates an encroachment only of about a little over 21 square feet into setback. So it's extremely limited. And again, it's just for access. It's not to make this a 5-bedroom or to get a bigger kitchen. It's to give access to residents of this dwelling who do not have the physical capability to use stairs. The addition would extend for all the living floors. I think as staff noted, the ground floor isn't calculated under your regulations as a story. So its height is completely compliant. And the other thing I would point out, just looking at this site plan, what you could see is there's actually, you can see the street property line, and then the buffer area between the street property line and the actual asphalt kind of bows out a bit there. And so there's actually a pretty increased buffer here between the property line and the actual road. So in reality, I think this buffer from Shorefront Park Road to the building is well in excess of what's required under the regulations. So to give you a closer view here of this addition, here we go. Okay. So this is a blown up portion of the site plan, and what you can see here is that if you look at the front setback line, almost all the addition is compliant. It's really just this little portion that sticks out that requires a variance. And again, it's just a little over 21 square feet in total that comprises this area that needs the variance. If it were to be granted, this site would still be compliant with regards to impervious surface coverage and building coverage. So we're not asking you for a bigger building that wouldn't be allowed in this zone. It's still compliant with coverage. So it's not that. It's really simply the front setback issue. Here's the ground floor plan, and again, you can see here, there's this entrance into the dwelling from the ground level, and then you can see to the right, here's the elevator. And again, due to the size of the elevator, it's causing this slight encroachment into the front setback. This is the first living floor. Again, this addition is only being used to hold the elevator and then, the access in and out of it, landing area. And then the floor above that, again, the addition is being used for the elevator and for access. So not for an extra bedroom, not for extra living space, really just to provide access for the residents. This is a front elevation. Again, this area down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Currently, there's like a little porch. You'll see it in pictures I have of the site. And we're just filling that in with this addition, lots of windows. It's still a very attractive appearance from the front. And really is basically in line with what's the existing front side. It only sticks out. You'll see here on this next plan, which is looking from the side, you can see the dash line for the other portion of the front facade that is compliant, and we're just a little bit in front of that. So this is an aerial of the site, and again, you can see the harbor, obviously, pool, and then the dwelling. And you can see here, again, in this bottom, it's kind of the bottom left corner of the building where this little notch is that we're filling in. In comparison to other properties on Shorefront Park, you can see dwellings to the north of us. Our site is the one highlighted in green, but you go up a couple properties and you find other dwellings that are frankly more non-conforming than we are, with street setback, one at about 21 feet, the other at 20 feet. You can see this is a property across the road from us. You can see, again, the site highlighted in green, 86 Shorefront Park. That dwelling gets within 8.8 feet of the street property line. And here, this is a good shot to show you. This is the front of the dwelling. And again, you can see this notch that we're filling in on the right-hand side. This photo right here is looking to the south. And you can see that pad there. So that concrete pad where the front porch is. So again, we're going slightly beyond that pad to be able to fit the elevator. But obviously the other thing to note here is that there's a mature tree buffer along that side, with that neighbor that screens them from this addition. This is a photo. I'm looking at where the edge of the addition would be looking north. And I think the things to note here is that if you look at these dwellings, and maybe it's a little tiny to see on your screens, but the dwellings to the north, whether it's the awning or in the building that's farther, they actually get closer to the road. They're about in the same location. So, it's certainly something that's in keeping with what you see in the neighborhood. This is the house that's across the street that I pointed out. And then I've included additional pictures and presentation. I don't know if you were able to get a copy of it, just showing other properties that are sometimes much closer to the road than we're proposing. This photo I just wanted to demonstrate. Again, this is our house. Our dwelling is on the left. My client's house is on the left, and the neighbor is to the right. And just to demonstrate, there's a mature buffer there that is screening between these properties. And again, just the remaining, just showing photos from the area to show that this is kind of in conformity. So going back to, and the other thing I did was is I submitted a petition from our neighbors, including that neighbor to the south of us, but also neighbors to the north of us in support of this application. With regard to hardship, this proposed variance would have little to no negative impact on the comprehensive zoning plan of Norwalk, nor would it negatively impact the surrounding area. The hardship stems from the fact that the site is located within the FEMA flood zone. The flood zone requires that the living floors be elevated, and the point of the elevator is to allow vertical mobility throughout the home for the applicant's family members who are unable to utilize the stairs. We have one resident who unfortunately suffers from Parkinson's, and another that has brain cancer, and their doctors have indicated that they're too impaired to use the stairs. And I know personal hardship is not a basis for granting a variance, but, and this is a big but, this hardship for this variance is that being located in the coastal zone requires the living floors to be elevated, and this variance is for access to the use. You and I may be able to go access the upper floors through the stairs, but we have residents here who cannot access the use. And I think that set of facts mirrors, there's a case called Mayor Whitman versus the Zoning Board of Appeals of the city Stamford. And that was a variance that was upheld by the Supreme Court, where the neighbor had a property that was in a flood zone, sought a front setback variance, and some relief on elevation restrictions. And again, that was the Superior Court upheld it, and the Supreme Court upheld it. And that case held that the strict enforcement of the regulations would have deprived owner of his constitutionally protected right to continue using the dwelling located in the coastal zone. And
What
that
year
is-
was that case?
Sorry,
What year was that case?
that was 2019.
All right, thanks.
And so that's, I think that's what we have here. Because again, this addition is just to provide space for the elevator to provide access for the use. And it's a hardship not experienced by dwellings outside the coastal zone. In those dwellings, if you're outside the coastal zone, you can make accommodations and put a master bedroom on a ground floor, which many people do, but not in the coastal zone because your living floors are not on grade, particularly when you're in this level of flood zone where this house is. The other thing, the trial court in that case concluded that the Zoning Board of Appeals determination that the regulations applicable to flood-prone areas imposed a hardship that justified the granting of the variances, and that the variances were minimal relief required to alleviate the hardship that were supported by the record. So we're asking for a variance of a little over 21 square feet into the setback. I don't think the relief gets more minimal than that. It's less than 1.5 feet closer to the road than the current the standard. So again, I think it's an appropriate basis for the granting of a variance. And on top of that, we have a neighborhood where a lot of people are close, a lot of dwellings are closer to the street. Neighbors don't necessarily set precedent, but the purpose of the setbacks is to provide buffers in keeping with the neighborhood. And I think that's what we've shown, is that we're not only keeping with the neighborhood, in some cases we're more conforming. So we think it's an extremely reasonable request. As staff noted, this is really the only compliant there's really no compliant location for this. And so we respectfully request you grant this variance. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have questions from the board on this application?
I have a comment, but I'm going to save it. The only question I would have is, which side of the building do you think is best for it to be on?
As far
The
as
stairs are?
as far as the north side or the south side?
Well, one side has stairwell and the other side does not. And that's where you've chosen to put the elevator. So
Correct.
if you were to have it on the other side, would it be more economical? And could you just step right out of the elevator to that upper porch and walk in?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, are you talking about on the rear side of the dwelling, having the elevator back there?
Unless I'm misunderstanding your drawing, you have a stairwell on the outside of the building on the right-hand side as you're facing the building. Is that correct?
There's an entrance in. Yes.
Okay. So if you were to nestle the elevator in there, would you have the same issues, or would it even work better that you could exit the elevator onto an upper platform and then walk into the building if you chose?
I'm trying to follow. I apologize. Let me see if I can pull the floor.
I don't know
plan.
that there's a door there, so who knows? There must be, though, because it goes up to that level.
So this is the ground level plan. Here's the 2-bay garage.
Okay.
And then right here, which is the front entrance of the house, is actually this dashed area right now. And there's a stairwell up. So what we're proposing is for the elevator to be right here in front of was the stairwell that everybody else can use to get to the upper floors. And, again, it puts it on the front side, which is far away from the coastal area as possible. The reason why this doesn't need coastal site plan review is because normally an addition in a coastal area would need coastal review if it was within 100 feet, which is something that, I think generally DEEP would rather you keep this farther away from the coastal resources And the reason we're exempted is because actually we've moved it to the front of the building, and that keeps it out of that 100-foot area. So I think from a environmental, from a deep point of view, this is the best location for it. And again, to me, it just seems a logical place. Normally you would have a stairwell to access upper floors from at the front of the building, and that's what we're doing by adding the elevators, giving the same access for those who can't use the stairs.
I have a couple of comments. Being a bit mobility challenged myself, it's almost two risers from grade in front of this proposed elevator to the entrance floor. And I see a bluestone platform. I truly believe that it really should require a ramp. I think your clients would be much more comfortable walking up a ramp rather than taking 2 steps onto that level. My second comment is I find the grouping of 3 windows on the front elevation rather jarring, and I see no necessity for windows into an elevator shaft.
I think nowadays, transparency is something that, a lot of people are looking for, particularly down in an area like this. It's not something in our design, it doesn't require a variance.
I know, I'm just making an architectural comment.
Sure.
I happen to be an architect,
Sure.
and I find the grouping of 8 windows and a door to be rather jarring on a house that doesn't have any architectural elements that relate to that. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Okay. Understood.
And that I think your clients would be a lot more comfortable, given their disabilities, to walk into the house with a ramp rather than 2 steps, if they're that handicapped.
Sure. I mean, I think we would be permitted under the regulations to turn this entrance into a ramp. I think that's a good suggestion, Chair. And if it were approved, I think it's certainly something we would look at, and I don't see any issue with it. I do see over on this side it gets closer, but I understand what you're saying. Just leading right into this door, it should be a ramp. It would make it easier for them.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with that. I think
Okay,
that's a good suggestion.
it's not a requirement for a variance. I'm just making a comment.
Okay. No, thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. I think you're right. I think it would help them.
Did we want to read the letters of support into the record?
I think we should.
I do not have copies of the record of support in front of me.
There's only one letter with 3 people sending it.
Yes, it's a letter with their sign-offs on it.
Yep. So you should tell us who the 3 are and what their addresses are, and then just read the body of one of them.
Chair, do you want me to do that? Would you like me to read that in?
If you would, that would be convenient. I'm trying to find it on my desk and I'm not.
Sure, happy to. The petition states the undersigned, having reviewed the relevant plans and applications, do hereby support the application to the Norwalk Zoning Board of Appeals for the property located at 68 Shorefront Park, Norwalk, Connecticut. The applicant requests the following variance in order to construct a 2-story addition to the existing residential single-family dwelling on the site. Variance of section 4.3.1-C of the regulations to reduce the minimum front yard setback where 30 feet is required and 28.6 feet is proposed to the principal single-family dwelling. We believe that approval of said application as set forth above will not have any negative impact on the neighborhood. We strongly urge the Norwalk Zoning Board of Appeals to approve this application. It is signed by Maura Riley, from 64 Shorefront Park. Peter Sosnow from 70 Shorefront Park, and Frank Marchetti from 66 Shorefront Park.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tammy, do we have any hands raised to
We're down to one. Yeah, we're down to one attendee. So if you'd like to comment either for or against this application, just let us know. But you just need to use the raise your hand feature if you'd like to speak.
No
raised hand.
When we finish, I've got a comment to make. You all remember that I sent you a memo from the Office of Legal Counsel in the state of Connecticut, and they were commenting on a question that was presented to them. Could a ZBA decide in general to approve ramps and elevators to accommodate handicap access in contradiction of the local zoning code? And the OLC commented that no, the ZBA cannot do that because the ZBA cannot write zoning code. That memo has nothing to do with what we're doing tonight. We don't have a contradiction, and we can decide that it's an appropriate variance. So I didn't want anybody to be confused by that memo.
I was not confused, Andy.
You remember the memo?
Yes, I do. Okay, we have no public input, and there is no need for Mr. Russo to respond, and therefore we will close the public hearing at this point. And after our next application, we will discuss this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, and really appreciate your suggestions in possibly improving this plan to serve these residents who, are limited physically. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when we do the next one, what's 48 Osborne?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Ben, have you been in tonight on any of these?
Yes, he has.
I think I've been in for all of them.
All right. What I was going to suggest is that you sit on 48 Osborne. You might want to think about any conditions that would satisfy the board. But anyway, go right ahead and you sit in.
Okay, this is 25-1218-01 Osborne Avenue LLC. Special exception per sections 8.3.3A. 0.2b parenthesis 2 and 1.21.2.b.5 to change a non-conforming use, retail, to another non-conforming use, office, within an existing commercial building in the CD2 zone. Property located at 48 Osborne Avenue, District 3, Block 8, Lot 1. Request: applicant seeks special exception to change non-conforming use for a proposed office. Background: the existing subject building is one of two commercial buildings on site. Records indicate these buildings were built in 1979. They are and have been used for commercial purposes since then. The zone was originally a commercial zone known as Business Number 1. The latest zoning regulations and map change adopted in 2024 changed this to a residential CD2 zone. As such, the site is now non-conforming in use. The smaller building was once a restaurant. The most recent zoning permit was for a retail tenant called Clay Space. The applicant reports there may have been a dog food retailer in the location more recently. Analysis and findings: a special exception does not have the hardship requirement that a variance request has. Staff believes the proposed use of office will be equal to or less intense than the previous commercial use of retail.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Will the representative for this application please step forward and identify yourself?
Hi, my name is Kyle Saslow. I'm the project manager for Stadler Construction, and I'm also here with Michael Stadler, the owner.
Well, go ahead and please make your presentation.
Okay, I'm going to screen share so we can get this going. So there is can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So these are the buildings as they stand today. It's been, I believe, vacant for well over a year. I can't even tell you the last time that they've had any work done on the outside. We plan on using this space as a flagship space for our office. We would like to do some modern upgrades to it. We want to have picture windows. We want to new paint, new lights. We also want to do some upgrades to the sidewalk as well, the curb, the concrete. We really want to, revitalize the entire space. So, reimagine layout, glass panel doors, 12x6 picture window. We want to have an illuminated company sign, withstanding the code, obviously, of the city, and possibly a bluestone patio entryway in the probably like 9 square feet in the front. On the side, we would be adding a second 12x6 picture window. And on the open space to the right of the window, we have a proposed mural that we possibly like to put up. Combines elements of the company along with the East Norwalk neighborhood and the history, of the beach and the boating and such. Parking lot side, we'd be adding doors, windows. It's going to be very minimal use. We have 2 parking spots that the owner is going to allow us to use for personal vehicles, mainly for support staff or the owners when they're there. And the rear entrance, minor upgrades, security cameras, lighting. Really just want to revitalize the entire space. And for the interior, it's going to be the area where the picture windows are. We're going to have a small conference room, glass panel walls. In the entryway, we're going to have an open office area for support staff, which is me and one other person. And then in the back, we'd have 2 offices for the owner, Mike, and the co-owner, Justin. Small kitchenette, ADA bathroom. It's going to be very simple layout. But, the owner's very excited about us potentially inhabiting this space and redoing it and kind of, revitalizing his property for him. So if, Mike, if you want to jump in and make any comments as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. My name is Michael Stadler. I'm the owner of Stadler Construction. I've been a Norwalk native for 41 years, born and raised, and I started my company in 2002. We're growing pretty rapidly right now. We do a lot of residential and small commercial work, and we would like to take that next step. We have an area where we park all our trucks and everything, and we have a carpentry shop so none of that stuff would have to be here. Basically, we would love to create an office so we can have clients to go over blueprints, to go over estimates, to have an area where my staff could work on estimates on projects, such as Norwalk projects. We bid on City of Norwalk projects all the time. So the reason why we love that space so much is, East Norwalk is up and coming right now. There's a lot of work going on, and that building has been an eyesore for as long as I could remember. And I grew up with the owner who owns the building. I grew up with his son, and he asked me if I would be interested in taking over this building, and I would love the opportunity to. Stadler Construction is all about cleaning up the community and just trying to be a part of Norwalk growing. So would love to answer any questions, me and Kyle, if you guys have any questions for us.
Any questions from the board?
You say that there's 2 parking spots from the landlord.
Correct.
What about visitor parking?
So that would be there's street parking. There's a ton of street parking all around. And if we did have a client coming, because it's only on appointment only, we would obviously like have one of our staffs to park on the street so our client could park in the parking space to make it comfortable for them.
Okay, so it's not like the other 3 spots or whatever are used for visitor parking.
We could. Again, I'm friends with the landlord. He owns Elite Limousine, and they're kind of in and out throughout the day. They're mostly on the road, obviously, of what they do. So obviously, if there's a space, but we would definitely have those 2 designated spaces. And obviously, if we need a third, I would just like the building is right next door. I would just like pop in the building and let them know, we need another space and to have no one parked there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, Tammy, do we have any hands raised?
So again, if you wanted, the one attendee, if you'd like to speak for this application for or against, just use the raise your hand feature. No raised hand.
Okay. I guess we'll close the public hearing on this, and we will start discussing this item working in reverse order. Any comments from the board for discussion?
Don't really have any issues with this one. Seems like a good way to get that building renovated at the very least. And the staff memo mentioned that office use is typically a little lesser impact than retail anyways. So seems like a lateral move at most. So good with me.
Ben, I agree with you 100%. I think that this office use would certainly reflect less in and out traffic on a daily basis than a retail operation that would also be receiving not only the public, but deliveries. So
with the deliveries, you have the crossing guard right there. The bus stop is right there. A lot of young kids are there in that corridor. I had a property on Edley Avenue, investment property, and I always frequent that street. So it's good to see that property be rehabbed and a company that's pretty much appointment only, which is kind of good. I wish we had more parking for you all, but that's something that has been a challenge for many people, and we're fortunate that you guys are willing to take that challenge and to make the best out of it, be flexible with your employees and your clients.
Thank you.
Well, having been in and out of many construction offices in the past, I think commercial visits will be probably at a minimum. So again, I would support this application.
Oh, I will make a motion then, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay.
Please do.
I will make a motion to not to go ahead with this.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was more comments.
Keith, go ahead and finish.
The
be for the
motion
record.
is to approve the special exception.
Ben?
Okay.
Second it again?
Second.
Very good. Will all those in favor please raise your hand and voice your approval? Aye?
Aye.
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 Very good. This application is unanimously approved.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Tammy, did you get all the names of who was sitting on that?
So Andy, were you sitting out on that one?
Yes, he
you didn't
was.
vote.
I was out.
Okay.
Ben was in.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, we will now move to application 251120-02.
Am I in on this one or am I sitting out?
I believe you're sitting out on this one, Ben.
Okay.
As is Steve.
No.
Yeah, one
Damon?
leaves with 4.
We need
Only one of
Steve.
us can sit out each one.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
Steve is in on this. Sorry.
How many, wait a minute, hold.
Wait a
let me
sec,
quick count.
no.
You got
Hold
Lee
on.
and me and Lion and Anthony and
Neither, and Steve.
and Steve.
That's 5.
That's fine.
We got Keith, me, you,
6, right?
Anthony. Okay,
Anthony.
yeah, either one of them.
Yeah, Steve is in on this one. Discussion on it.
No, I think it was a thorough exploration. I'd be ready to vote.
Well, again, my comments were purely architectural, which really doesn't count. I would have also expected they would have put a porch roof over the entrance, but not my business. I would just encourage them to seriously think more about handicapped access on their part. So
Yeah, they have good association for that neighborhood, and the support of the neighbors is also a good thing too, and it's not that far off from where the current line is. So I'm okay with it.
yeah, I really believe it's a minimal variance to make the house accessible. And would somebody like to make a
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
Yeah, I'll second.
okay. All those in favor of this application, please raise your hand and
Aye.
vocally
I
Aye.
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 So we're unanimous on this. Very good.
So Ben, I'll sit on the next one, Ben.
I'm not in on this one, so both of you are.
Okay.
Application 251120-03, the Zhang application. Discussion on this?
I'm good with Andy's minimum variance with the 20 feet. I think anything less than that, we could be getting ourselves in trouble if there's ever a change over there.
I would agree with that. I think that 20 feet, being 2/3 of what is required to me would be the minimum setback on this. And considering what could happen, being able to back in and out of a garage, I think 20 feet is almost necessary.
So
Yeah, I
is-
think that though they may be putting paving in an area that they're not normally permitted to, I would say that that's not a pertinent point, and we should allow it in front of the garage to allow access and turnaround.
On their property, we're not
Yeah.
going outside of the
Yeah,
property.
and unless Metro said, yeah, you can do what you want, but I don't think they will.
And we as an adjoining property owner, they have chosen not to comment.
True.
Would someone make a motion on this?
I will.
application?
I will make the motion. As a 20-foot front variance, what's the total variance, Tammy? 20, right?
Right. So the condition is that
Yeah.
the
I didn't know if I needed to subtract out the existing 12.6 or whatever the hell it was.
no, just
Anyway,
20 versus
including the current setback, a total of 20. That does the trick. And I don't think we need to do a side variance. And the area that they had designated that they wanted to pave for access to the garage and turnaround, I'll include that as a variance.
And the parking in the front setback is also approved.
Yeah.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I
on this?
will second that.
Okay,
Andy made the motion, yeah.
okay, Andy made the motion, Keith second. All those in favor, and both Steve and Ben are in on this one. Please signify your approval by raising your hand and voicing yes.
Yep.
Aye.
Yes.
Very good. Once again, unanimous.
Thank
And
you
we
for
move on to the last item, 25-1120-1, Hogan. And again,
Cool.
Steve and Ben are participating. I'm not.
I
Discussion.
thought my
Yes.
impression was that the applicant listened to our previous instruction, and it isn't going to come out perfect, but it certainly went well into the direction we asked them to go.
Yeah, I appreciate her presentation, and she took down notes. And what's really impressive about this application is that she worked with Tammy. She worked with the staff to come to a resolution in a short period of time. So thank you, Tammy, for availing yourself to work with. I know you have a lot of residents with different needs and thoughts, and I know there's a lot of time spent. There's only 8 hours in a workday. But this is pretty much a thank you to you. That's my comment for working with the residents of Norwalk, and it shows clearly in the process with this application.
Thank you.
Okay, someone make a motion?
Make a
Anyone.
motion to approve.
Okay, someone second?
Who was that? Was that Anthony?
That was
No, that was
Ben.
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 All right, cool.
I'll
second.
second. I go.
Well, Anthony second.
Anthony's up. Okay, good. All those in favor of this application, please signify by raising your hand and with approval.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Very good. Application is approved unanimously.
Good job.
Okay. The next item, administrative actions. The 2026 meeting calendar has been sent out. I have reviewed it thoroughly for Jewish holidays and find no contradictions.
That's great.
So unless
I looked at it for other reasons and I didn't see a problem with it. So
good. So no objections to the calendar?
Nope.
Okay. Minutes from the last meeting.
I went through them briefly. I'm happy.
Okay. I was not participating except on.
You were on a riverboat. Admit
I
it.
was on a riverboat. No gambling.
No gambling. Well, that's too bad.
No, lots of great food and incredible music.
Yeah.
So, anyone else have comments on the meeting from the minutes from the November meeting?
Just one small comment. I mean, we have a female chairperson. We should probably keep her as chairwoman. I think we have chairman.
Let her pick, Anthony.
Yeah.
I like chairwoman, but some women don't like that. So
They just want to be known as chair.
Which is fine, but I think we have
some women
chairman.
prefer chairman, and if that's her choice, or chairwoman, then that's her choice.
Yeah,
chair.
I like.
The only
if it
thing
was a-
about chair is there are a lot of people that say that's insulting. So
I like boss lady, but I don't think that would work.
I like that too.
Well, let's hold that thought in abeyance until her next appearance at a zoning hearing, and let her decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, the meeting minutes are approved. Otherwise,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
I'm gonna
Ben
abstain because
abstains
I
also.
was not here last month.
So 4 yays. Very good.
It's a very efficient evening for 4 applications.
I try to move the meetings along. I've done this before.
We're cheating a little bit because we dealt with 2 of them previously and told them what we wanted. So
I know. I won't
Still.
take credit for it, but it was a good meeting. Anthony, it's good to see you and welcome.
Thank you.
I read your profile, and I think your contributions to the ZBA will be well received.
Thank you very much.
I look to you as someone else with good experience. So thank you for joining us.
My
And
pleasure.
with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. So everyone, have a good month.
all right. And I'd say yes. Aye.
Aye. All in favor, aye.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, happy
Okay, everyone.
holidays.
See you in
Be well.
2026.
Happy holidays,
Enjoy
everybody.
the holidays.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Best for
See
New
you all.
Year.
Bye-bye.